Everyone tells you Charleston is expensive, and they're right. But here's the thing nobody breaks down: where it's expensive, why it's expensive, and more importantly, how to avoid the money traps that catch newcomers off guard every single time. I'm Justine Manuel. I moved here from the Pacific Northwest, and I learned all of this the hard way. I've lived on Johns Island, downtown Charleston, and in West Ashley. And in every neighborhood, I've had a front row seat to the decisions people make that cost them. In this video, I'm going to give you the real numbers: home prices by neighborhood, insurance costs, taxes, groceries, utilities, and I'm going to tell you the one hidden cost that most people completely ignore until it shows up at closing. Let's get into it. If you're watching this, you're probably somewhere like New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Massachusetts, and you're thinking about a move down south. You've done some searching, you've seen the photos, you know that Charleston is beautiful. But what you need to know before anything else is the honest financial picture, because Charleston is not cheap, and I'm not going to be pretending that it is. What I will tell you is that for the right person and the right neighborhood, the value here is hard to beat anywhere on the East Coast. Let me show you what I mean. First, the overview. Charleston's overall cost of living runs about 6% higher than the national average. That number is mostly driven by housing, which I'll break down in a moment. But here's what the number doesn't tell you. Groceries and transportation are close to the national average, and healthcare runs significantly below the average. We're talking 16% less what most of the country pays, and utilities are higher in the summer because of the heat, but balanced out in the winter because you're rarely going to run the furnace. So it's not a city that's expensive across the board. It's specifically a city where housing and the costs that come with housing is what you need to plan around carefully. Okay, let's talk housing, and I'm going to do this by area because the range here is significant. The Charleston Peninsula is what's considered downtown, and you'll pay the most here. Think historic homes, walkable streets, King Street, the Battery, world-class restaurants. This is the Charleston you see in every magazine spread, and it comes with a price tag to match. You're looking at median prices well north of $800,000, and in the more sought-after neighborhoods, you're going to be looking well into the millions. The Upper Peninsula is quieter, more residential, and a bit more accessible, and honestly, it's one of the most underrated pockets in the whole city. But even here, you're still on the peninsula, and the address commands a premium. Next up is James Island, which has a true small town feel, beautiful oak-lined streets. It's about 10 minutes to Folly Beach, 10 minutes to downtown, has a food scene that will surprise you. Median home prices on James Island are running in the mid 600,000s, which is up 13% from last year. You could still find condos in the 300 to 400,000 range, but the single family home market is definitely higher. West Ashley is one of the largest and most accessible suburbs. It's a mix of established neighborhoods and newer construction close to both downtown and James Island. There's more inventory and more options. You're generally looking at 400,000 to 600,000, depending on the neighborhood, what's been updated, and how close it is to the Ashley River in downtown. Johns Island is super hot right now. Lots of new construction communities, large lots, river access, and some of the best restaurants in the area. People drive from downtown to have dinner here at these restaurants. Prices are roughly in the $400,000 to $700,000 range for most of what's available. And I'll tell you the one thing about Johns Island in a minute. Next up is Summerville. If you want the most house for your money within reach of Charleston, this is your answer. 30 to 40 minutes out, top-rated schools, master plan communities, a charming historic downtown, and home prices that are generally more affordable. You're looking at $375,000 to $600,000, depending on where you are and if you're buying new construction or not. For families coming from New Jersey or New York or LA experiencing sticker shock elsewhere in Charleston, Summerville is what makes Charleston work. Okay, here's the thing I promised to tell you. The cost that catches people off guard: flood insurance. Charleston sits at an average elevation of about 20 feet above sea level. Parts of this city flood. Not everywhere and not all the time, but you need to understand flood zones before you make an offer on any of the homes here. FEMA designates 3 main zones which you'll encounter during your home search. Zone X is the lowest risk. Flood insurance isn't required by your lender, but I still recommend getting it. It runs around $400 to $500 a year and is generally worth the peace of mind. Zone Moderate and Zone AE are the highest risk, and they're going to run anywhere from $1,500 to $5,000 a year, depending on your property. Flood Zone AE, which is the high risk, is required to have flood insurance by your lender, so you're not getting out of these costs. You're going to have them if you're financing. Now, here's where it really matters for your home search. The foundation type, slab, crawl space, or elevated drive under directly affects your insurance rate and your risk. An elevated home in Zone AE will cost significantly less to insure than a slab on the same zone. This is why I tell every single client to make sure we're looking at flood zones and get a home insurance and flood insurance check, just so you're not blindsided when the quote comes back at closing. Don't let that be you. Let's talk about taxes. South Carolina does have state income tax. It's not a no income tax state like Florida or Texas. The top rate is around 5 to 6% depending on income, but compare that to other cities and it's much better. Property taxes in South Carolina are also significantly lower than the national average, especially for primary residences. If you're a retiree in South Carolina, you're also receiving no tax on Social Security benefits. Military retirement income also gets favorable treatment. And for people coming from the Northeast, this is often a meaningful shift. So yes, the home prices are higher than the national average, but the ongoing tax burden tells a different story. Beyond housing, here's the honest day-to-day picture. Groceries run about 2 to 3% above the national average. Nothing dramatic. You'll notice a difference, but you're not in Manhattan. Utilities are where you'll feel it. Electricity in Charleston runs high in summer. Air conditioning here is not optional. It's survival. Budget $150 to $250 a month for electricity. In the winter, that does drop significantly. Water and sewer will run you around $70 to $120. So total monthly utilities, $300 to $400 with reasonable expectation. Dining out, this is Charleston. You can spend as much as you want, but casual meals start around $20. A mid-range dinner for 2 at a good spot is going to be probably $100, and there's no shortage of different price ranges available. Cars and gas are actually slightly below national average, and Charleston isn't great with public transit. A car is definitely required unless you're living downtown. So, is it worth it? Here's my honest answer. If you're coming from a bigger city that's more expensive, Charleston will feel significantly less expensive from where you came from. Your housing dollar goes much farther, your tax burden drops, your commute is shorter, and you will gain access to some of the most beautiful, livable surroundings on the East Coast. If you're coming from a lower cost living market like the Midwest, it's a real adjustment, and that's okay. Somerville exists for this exact reason. You can have the Charleston lifestyle without the downtown price tag. What I always tell people is this: the cost of living here is a reflection of the fact that everyone wants to live here. Wallet Hub ranked Charleston in the top 10 most family-friendly cities in the country for 2026. The weather, the food, the water access, the history, it all adds up to being a place people generally love living in. You're not paying for a zip code here, you're paying for a lifestyle. If you're seriously considering a move to Charleston, I put together a free home buyer guide that covers what to look for in a neighborhood, so you're definitely matching your lifestyle to where you're living, and a little bit about the process of what it's like to buy in South Carolina. The link is in the description. Download it, take your time with it, and when you have questions, my number is there too. I actually pick up. It's not my assistant's number, that's my direct cell phone line. And if you want to talk through your specific situation, budget, timeline, hit the Calendly link and we can schedule a phone call to get you started on your home buying process in Charleston. And don't forget, location matters more than the house. I learned that the hard way, so you don't have to.